Chapter 1511. Dim Shadow. A universe god's comprehension of the heaven way could clear the second level of the Doctrine Palace? When Jian Wushuang saw the information of the God-destroying king, he clicked his tongue. He had completely understood the Doctrine Palace from the king of venomous worms. He was very clear that the higher the Doctrine Palace, the harder it was to clear. Even among the real gods, there were not many of them who did it. Only those who stood at the top had the right to clear the second level of the Doctrine Palace. For a universe god to clear the first level of the Doctrine Palace, he would be considered a super monster. As for clearing the second level, it was almost impossible. However, the god-destroying king was that frightening. Even Zi Dongwang, who ranked second, and Ling Luo, who ranked third in the universe god ranking list, were extremely terrified of the god-destroying king. If I were to come across this god-destroying king, most likely there would only be room for me to escape miserably. Jian Wushuang gasped with admiration. He knew his own abilities inside out. If he were to come across Zi Dongwang and Ling Luo at the very moment, he could still try fighting against them. However, if he were to come across the god-destroying king, he would definitely be unable to compete against him. However, Wu Bei's cave was huge. Hence, the chances of him coming across that god-destroying king were not high. Jian Wushuang continued to roam around inside Wu Bei's cave and depended on his soul power to search for the Iron Wing Beasts. However, perhaps it was due to there not being many Iron Wing Beasts left in Wu Bei's cave, his chances of finding Iron Wing Beasts were not as high as before. Moreover, even if he managed to find the Iron Wing Beasts, their bodies might not contain the white blaze fruit. Time flew by. 3 months had passed since Wu Bei's cave opened. By relying on his soul power, which gave him an advantage, Jian Wushuang killed another Iron Wing Beast and he obtained his third white blaze fruit. Of course, during his process of obtaining the third white blaze fruit, there was no avoiding a massacre. A number of jealous universe gods tried in vain to team up and kill Jian Wushuang to get the white blaze fruit. However, they were all massacred by Jian Wushuang mercilessly in the end. In Wu Bei's cave, where massacres occurred all over the place as many universe gods fought madly for the white blaze fruit. Boom! All of a sudden, the whole cave shook. The frequency of the earthquakes increased continuously as well. What happened? What's going on? Could it be that this cave is about to close? Many universe gods in the cave were stunned. While they were stupefied, in the void in the highest part of the cave, a dim shadow formed slowly. The dim shadow was not big. However, they existed in each and every corner of the cave. When the great number of universe gods in the cave raised their heads in succession, they could see the dim shadow. However, they were unable to see the real appearance of the dim shadow. They were even unable to sense the presence of the dim shadow's aura. After the dim shadow appeared, an extremely magnanimous yet slightly evil voice resounded within the cave. Universe gods of the eternal chaotic world, welcome to my cave. The voice could be heard from all directions. For the universe gods in the cave, no matter which corner of the cave they were at, they could hear the voice clearly. However, after hearing the voice clearly, many of them were shocked. Welcome to my cave? Everyone knew that the cave was left behind by real god Wu Bei. Hence, could the person speaking be real god Wu Bei? Wu Bei. That madman. Even though he is already dead, he still left his consciousness behind in his own cave intentionally. As I guessed, this cave is not as simple as we think. Within the big hall in the sky of the island, many almighties knew about the changes in Wu Bei's cave. At once, the big hall became lively. What does that madman intend to do? It was obvious that the almighties did not dare to underestimate real god Wu Bei. Inside the cave, the voice of the dim shadow continued on. My cave has already been opened for 3 months. During the 3 months, the 15 white blaze fruits that I left behind in the first level of this cave have all landed in the hands of all of you. Next, it's about time that all of you enter the second level of the cave. The second level will have more white blaze fruits. There will be a total of 50 of them. As soon as the words left his mouth, the universe gods in each and every corner of Wu Bei's cave became excited at once. This cave has a second level? The first level has 15 white blaze fruits, while the second level has a total of 50 white blaze fruits? Gosh! Many universe gods were extremely enthusiastic. especially those universe gods who had not obtained any white blaze fruits previously. Even the Almighties and the real god experts from many various powerhouses within the big hall became extremely excited at that moment. The second level has a total of 50 white blaze fruits. Is that true? How can there be so many? The Almighties found it unbelievable. It should be known that in the history of the eternal chaotic world, one white blaze fruit alone was extremely precious, and it was enough to make the Almighties yearn for it. During the 3 months on the island, the 15 white blaze fruits found in Wu Bei's cave had already caused the Almighties to be astonished. At the moment, the consciousness that Wu Bei left behind actually told them that there was a total of 50 white blaze fruits in the second level. Burning with excitement. The eyes of the Almighties in the big hall were burning with excitement. Of course, even though they were burning with excitement, they were still able to retain their senses. Inside the cave, I will give all of you a month's time to either rest or make preparations. After 1 month, the second level of the cave will open. Before that, I will give all of you a reminder first. The space of the second level of the cave is not as huge as the first level. Moreover, there are many white blaze fruits. Hence, perhaps the fight would be crazier. Ha ha. An evil laugh echoed in the universe, and what followed after that was the dim shadow dissipating slowly. However, the universe gods in the cave were unable to remain calm. After 1 month, the second level of the cave would open and the fight would become more intense. Jian Wushuang stood at the top of a lofty mountain and he frowned slightly. King of venomous worms, do you think real god Wu Bei is speaking the truth? Are there really so many white blaze fruits in the second level of the cave? Jian Wushuang questioned. No idea. However, under normal circumstances, it would be impossible to accumulate so many white blaze fruits from one white blaze fruit tree alone. Even after many years, the king of venomous worms continued speaking. Moreover, this real god Wu Bei is really a madman and he can do anything. Hence, you must really remain vigilant. No matter how crazy real god Wu Bei is, I have to go to the second level. Even if it is not for the white blaze fruit, I have to go for the sake of obtaining the training method for an inverse cultivator. Jian Wushuang clenched both his fists tightly and said in a serious tone. You're right. The king of venomous worms also understood. He gave all of you a month's time to prepare. Therefore, you should make your preparations. Jian Wushuang nodded his head and sat down with his legs crossed after that. Inside the cave, many universe gods stopped fighting temporarily and started to prepare. Chapter 15:12. New universe god ranking list. In the lofty hall, various Almighties were casually chatting. Real god Wu Bei already died, but he is unwilling to remain out of the limelight. I really have no idea what he is trying to do. Humph, it's a pity that the restriction is too profound, even we have no way to resolve it. Otherwise, how could he make the decisions? I wonder who helped him in setting up the restriction. In any case, I also have attainments in formation and I am also an Almighty. But I can't do anything about the restriction. In 10 cultivation sanctuaries, I reckon that only an existence of that level could possibly resolve the restriction. That level? There are only a few experts of that level in the entire cultivation sanctuaries. They are high above, and why would they bother with us? During a casual chat, the time flew past. 10 days later, among the Almighties on the higher part of the hall, Tower Master Chi Fu from Vientiane Tower suddenly spoke. Everyone, according to various universe gods' performance in the cave for the past 3 months, we at Vientiane Tower have established a brand new universe god ranking list. Take a look at it. Tower Master Chi Fu waved and a huge list immediately floated in the middle of the hall. A complete universe god ranking list recorded 100 universe gods who were powerful. However, compared to the ranking list before, there was obviously a drastic change. On top of the list, there were 10 eye-catching names. They were the top 10 monsters on universe god ranking list, listed from top to bottom in order. VAR Axid 6327 document element by Exide 6327 SP 6327-math floor date now. Windowed at pubic stag window pubic stag the first place on universe god ranking list, god destroying king. The second place on universe god ranking list, Zidong Wang. The third place on universe god ranking list, white-robed swordsman. The fourth place on universe god ranking list, demon girl Ling Luo. The fifth place on universe god ranking list, Jian Wushuang. The 6th place on Universe God ranking list, Xin Zhu. The 7th place on Universe God ranking list, Universe God Liu Ying. The 8th place on Universe God ranking list, Demon King Icefeather. The 9th place on Universe God ranking list, 7 Universe King. The 10th place on Universe God ranking list, Universe God Mo Shou. That was the brand new ranking list for the top 10 monsters. Looking at the ranking list, the experts in the hall started discussing among themselves. Some were casually chatting, some were complimenting in silence, but most of them agreed with the rankings. The person on the 3rd place on Universe God ranking list, because he didn't announce his name when he defeated Ling Luo, Vientiane Tower has yet to find out his true name. Hence, we replaced it with White-Robed Swordsman. If everyone agrees with this, we shall share the ranking list. Tower Master Chi Fu smiled faintly. In that instant, the ranking list spread across at terrifying speed. In less than half a day, it had spread all over Wu Bei's cave. The universe gods in Wu Bei's cave knew of the existence of the brand new ranking list. The brand new universe god ranking list put me on the 5th place? Jian Wushuang looked confused. His true power was actually not that much stronger compared to the previous 9th place universe god Xianxia. However, his martial art motion was terrifying. The introduction of him to the brand new universe god ranking list said that his martial art motion was number 1 among all universe gods. He was listed in the 5th place because of his martial art motion. The brand new universe god ranking list is so shocking. There are so many experts that popped up from nowhere. Besides myself, among the top 10 from the previous universe god ranking list, there are 3 people who are not famous at all. Jian Wushuang was surprised. In the top 10 on Universe God ranking list, White-Robed Swordsman, Demon King Icefeather, and 7 Universe King were all unknown before this. They revealed terrifying powers at the fights during the 3 months in Wu Bei's cave. Among them all, the mysterious White-Robed Swordsman was the strongest. He had defeated Ling Luo face to face and he was listed in 3rd place. Demon King Icefeather and 7 Universe King defeated Universe God Mo Shou and then got listed in the 8th and the 9th place. Besides the top 10, the following ranking went through a drastic change too. For instance, Long Ya, who was in the 51st place previously, was then dropped to below 70 and Xianxia to lower than 90th too. Out of the 3 of them from Lineage of Star who were on Universe God ranking list, only he had proceeded to the front of the ranking list. It is only the 1st level of the cave. If there were to really be a 2nd level to the cave like real God Wu Bei said, there would be a total of 50 white blaze fruit. It definitely would stir up more carnage. By then, the ranking list would experience another drastic change again. Jian Wushuang smiled but didn't worry much about the ranking list. Very quickly, he closed his eyes again. However, in Wu Bei's cave, many universe gods were shocked by the brand new ranking list. In a spacious, barren land, a cold-looking purple-haired man sat. His facial expression was maliciously charming with a tinge of coldness. He was Zi Dongwang from the 2nd place on Universe God ranking list. At that very moment, he was paying close attention to the brand new Universe God ranking list. Still the same as before, God-destroying King is high above. No one could compare with him, even I couldn't. This God-destroying King is simply a monster. Zi Dongwang shook his head. He had no intention to compete with God-destroying King. Ling Luo, she lost to a mysterious swordsman who is unknown. That is quite surprising. Zi Dongwang frowned. According to the ranking list, the mysterious swordsman comprehended Darkness Doctrine and Massacre Doctrine at the same time. Plus, the comprehension level is extremely high and his swordsmanship is terrifying. Ling Luo already gave her all and even performed her strongest technique but still lost. The mysterious white-robed swordsman is really powerful and he didn't seem to be interested with white blaze fruit. He came to the cave purely to challenge experts. Now, he has already defeated Ling Luo. So, I should be next. Humph, come on, come on. Among all universe gods in eternal chaotic world, besides God-destroying King, there is definitely no one else who could be my, Zi Dongwang's, match. Zi Dongwang was confident. On the top of a towering tree, a shadow in a black robe sat quietly. The figure of the shadow in a black robe was scrawny and his cold look was evil. He was giving out a unique aura. Most importantly, His eyes were a pair of extremely dark and creepy eyes that seemed to contain boundless magic power. Jian Wushuang, 5th place on Universe God ranking list? He didn't even fight with me in person. Just because he killed that idiotic Xiong Fu, he is listed in the 5th place directly. The people from Vientiane Tower made arbitrary decisions. The evil-looking man in black robe had a chilly gleam in his eyes. He was the 6th place on the current Universe God ranking list, Xin Zhu. One should know that Xin Zhu was previously in the 4th place on Universe God ranking list. But because of the white-robed swordsman and Jian Wushuang, he had dropped to the 6th place. The white-robed swordsman had defeated Ling Luo face-to-face, and it was unnecessary to be in doubt of his power. Hence, Xin Zhu naturally wouldn't suspect nor complain. However, Jian Wushuang, he had only killed Universe God Xiong Fu and he was listed on the 5th place directly, even higher rank than he was. Xin Zhu was naturally upset about it. Chapter 15:13. The second level of the cave. The second level of the cave is about to open. At that time, the fight will be even more intense. Hopefully, I would be able to come across Jian Wushuang. Xin Zhu's eyes were filled with coldness. A month's time passed quickly. The dim shadow appeared again at the highest part of the void. At the same time, some space passage appeared in each and every corner of the cave. The space passage to enter the second level has been opened. If you wish to get more white blaze fruits and opportunities, please go in. Real God Wu Bei's voice was evil just like before, and it resounded across the whole cave. After hearing his voice, the universe gods who had finished their preparations a long time ago headed into the space passages that had appeared in their vicinities without hesitation and entered the second level of Wu Bei's cave. In the second level of Wu Bei's cave, there was a crimson sun high in the sky. The whole sky and earth were crimson in color, and even the air was filled with a thin crimson mist. Jian Wushuang was standing in the void in the second level of Wu Bei's cave. He had already spread his soul power across the area and discovered many figures within the range that his soul power had covered. There was a total of 18 universe gods. On the second level, the universe gods are spread closer to one another, Jian Wushuang muttered. However, he also understood that the second level was not as huge as the first level. Hence, the universe gods would naturally be placed closer to one another. For the universe gods to be spread so close to one another, as soon as white blaze fruits appear and a fight breaks out, tens or even hundreds of universe gods will be able to get to the battlefield in an instant. With so many universe gods, if they were to team up, even the experts in the top 20 and top 10 of the universe god ranking list would have to retreat. Moreover, how will the white blaze fruits in the second level appear? Will it be the same as the first level where it is inside the bodies of iron wing beasts? Jian Wushuang frowned. While Jian Wushuang was puzzled, real God Wu Bei's dim shadow appeared at the highest part of the cave and his evil voice could be heard again. The 50 white blaze fruits have already been spread across the space of every area of the cave's second level. When the time is right, they will appear by themselves. However, it will be up to your own abilities if you wish to obtain the white blaze fruits. After that, the dim shadow disappeared again. Appearing in succession, Jian Wushuang squinted his eyes. After that, he moved his legs and started to move around the area slowly. While moving, a number of universe gods discovered him. That's Jian Wushuang, the super expert ranked 5th on the new universe god ranking list. It is said that Jian Wushuang obtained a total of 3 white blaze fruits in just the first level of the cave alone. 3 white blaze fruits? It's a pity that Jian Wushuang is too strong. Hence, it is totally impossible to snatch the white blaze fruits from his hands. Under such circumstances where experts were spread so close to one another, they had better not think of getting the white blaze fruits quietly. Take the 15 white blaze fruits on the first level of the cave as an example. The whereabouts of every fruit were known clearly. As for Jian Wushuang, he had obtained a total of 3 white blaze fruit on the first level and everyone had known about it for a while. However, although the universe gods knew that, no one dared to lay their eyes on Jian Wushuang. Take those universe gods who did not have the right to get into the universe god ranking list as an example. Unless hundreds of them teamed up, trying to snatch treasures from Jian Wushuang was as good as suicide. In the space of the second level, the universe gods were searching carefully. At that moment, at a lofty mountain at a corner of the second level space, boom! A strong aura burst forth. The aura disturbed the wind and clouds. In an instant, they became many giant waves which spread across the area. With such great disturbances, even if one were to be millions of miles away, they would be able to sense the commotion clearly. In a jiffy, hundreds of universe gods who were within a few million miles became alarmed. This disturbance. The white blaze fruits have appeared. It's in this vicinity. Hurry there quickly. Quick, quick. Hundreds of universe gods moved their bodies at once and rushed over at their fastest speeds. Straight away after that, an extremely fierce, miserable fight began. What had appeared was indeed white blaze fruits. Moreover, it was not only one fruit, it was two fruits. The appearance of two white blaze fruits quickly attracted hundreds of universe gods over to compete for them. After some intense and tragic killing, the fight ended. As for the universe gods at the other areas of the second level, despite not being able to make it to the fight, they had managed to get the information hastily. At the same time, they also knew the results of the fight. Two white blaze fruits appeared at the same time. Jian Wushuang exclaimed. According to the information that he had obtained, during the fight for the two white blaze fruits, more than 200 universe gods had died, and this included an expert on the universe god ranking list. More than 200 universe gods died in one fight. Moreover, all of them are practically universe gods who stand at the top of the third heaven. This is really crazy, Jian Wushuang muttered. Actually, the white blaze fruits are useless to universe gods like us. Hence, there is no need for them to go to this extent. As soon as Jian Wushuang's words left his mouth, King of Venomous Worms sneered immediately. Jian Wushuang, that's easy for you to say. You are a Star Palace disciple of the lineage of Star, and the Star Palace treats you like a treasure. As soon as you have completed the ultimate disciple task, you'll be awarded a real god-level chaos unique treasure. However, in the eternal chaotic world, not all the universe gods are treated the same way as you. For the majority of the universe gods, not mentioning real god-level chaos unique treasures, even getting top universe god-level chaos unique treasures is difficult for them. And this time around, every big powerhouse and many almighties have given their word that every white blaze fruit can be exchanged for a real god-level chaos unique treasure. Hence, how can those universe gods not be interested? Not mentioning universe gods alone, if real gods were able to enter the cave as well, you would see what reaction the real gods would have. They will definitely be as crazy as the universe gods. After hearing what had been said, Jian Wushuang could not help but be silent. Indeed, due to his identity as a Star Palace disciple, as well as his good luck, he had managed to get many opportunities. As a result of that, he had acquired and possessed many treasures. However, other universe gods were not as fortunate. One white blaze fruit could be exchanged for a real god-level chaos unique treasure. This was enough to make countless universe gods, as well as a few real gods, go crazy. After the first fight, white blaze fruits appeared again after some time. Just like before, two white blaze fruits appeared at the same time and an insane fight took place as well. What followed after that was the third appearance, where three white blaze fruits appeared at the same time. After 3 blood-soaked fights, many universe gods in the cave, as well as the experts in the outside world, firmly believed that there were indeed 50 white blaze fruits in the second level of the cave. Chapter 15:14. Huge movement for the birth of a white blaze fruit for the first 3 times. Jian Wushuang was too far away and he couldn't rush there in time. However, the 4th time, Jian Wushuang managed to get there in time. There were 3 white blaze fruits that came to the world at the same time. When Jian Wushuang appeared at the birthplace, there was already a mad fight going on. There was a total of 100 universe gods that participated in the 5th battle. Out of the 3 white blaze fruits, 2 were taken away. The remaining 1 fell into the hands of a universe god. Jian Wushuang knew the universe god too. His name was Universe God Tai Kang. Universe God Tai Kang was in the 28th place on Universe God ranking list. He was considered one of the top experts. Even when he came across an ordinary real god, he could fight head-on. But then, Universe God Tai Kang was besieged by almost 100 universe gods. If it wasn't for him being extremely strong in defense, he would have been killed long ago. Jian Wushuang immediately got involved and cast 18 shadows simultaneously. Under the effect of power of spacetime, He went through the crowd and appeared before Universe God Tai Kang. Universe God Tai Kang, pass me the white blaze fruit. Otherwise, die. Jian Wushuang's bellow traveled into Universe God Tai Kang's ears. You are Jian Wushuang? Universe God Tai Kang almost recognized Jian Wushuang. Even though he was unwilling to, he took out the white blaze fruit and threw it at Jian Wushuang. He was certain that Jian Wushuang would never come, and he could only opt to give up the white blaze fruit under the siege of almost 100 universe gods. As Jian Wushuang came, he decided to just give a favor at a little cost. Jian Wushuang extended his hand and took the white blaze fruit. The fourth. Jian Wushuang smiled delightedly. It's Jian Wushuang. The white blaze fruit is with Jian Wushuang. Kill him, kill him. The surrounding universe gods immediately redirected their focus and chased after Jian Wushuang in madness. Humph. Jian Wushuang humphed, and he traveled like a ghost and went through the crowd recklessly. Everywhere he went, he wielded his Blood Mountain sword and immediately killed for universe gods who were blocking his way at the front. Then, he passed through the crowd. How could he? He charged out from our siege so easily? The martial art motion is too terrifying. The universe gods found it unbelievable. When they had besieged Universe God Tai Kang, he couldn't even struggle. However, Jian Wushuang dashed out from their siege in an instant. Jian Wushuang. A low bellow was suddenly heard. Jian Wushuang turned around and his gaze was fixed. Demon King Icefeather? Demon King Icefeather, the 8th ranked on the brand new Universe God ranking list. You have already gotten 3 white blaze fruits on the first level of the cave. Now, you want to get the 4th one? You are too greedy. Demon King Icefeather's voice shook the sky. His figure caught up at lightning speed, far faster than any other universe gods. If you were me, you definitely would be as greedy. Jian Wushuang smiled faintly and wasn't in a hurry to leave, but he turned to walk towards Demon King Icefeather. As his figure plunged, Jian Wushuang's martial art motion was immediately revealed flawlessly. In a short period of time. Ha ha. Demon King Icefeather, excuse me for not keeping you company. Jian Wushuang's voice was still reverberating in the void nearby, but his figure had already disappeared before everyone's eyes. Demon King Icefeather looked cold as he stood in the void. He watched the direction which Jian Wushuang traveled in and he creased his eyebrows slightly. This Jian Wushuang should be around the same as me in terms of power. However, his martial art motion is too creepy. Demon King Icefeather recalled the instance when Jian Wushuang had fought against him earlier. It was mostly the speed of that instant and his martial art motion. Such a creepy and terrifying martial art motion. It could really be known as the #1 martial art motion among universe gods. Plus, he does qualify to be listed in the 5th place on Universe God ranking list. Demon King Icefeather said and then left immediately. Very soon, on the 2nd level of the cave, many universe gods received the news and found that Jian Wushuang had obtained the 4th white blaze fruit. At the same time, they found out that Demon King Icefeather had fought. Although there wasn't victory or defeat in the battle, Demon King Icefeather admitted that Jian Wushuang had the fighting power of the 5th place on Universe God ranking list. A mad fight was still continuing. Occasionally, there would be white blaze fruits coming to the world. Every time the fruit came to the world, there would be a huge movement to attract all the universe gods. As time flew past, it already became the 10th day since everyone had entered the 2nd level of the cave. The breeze blew slightly and it was piercingly cold. The originally crimson space became even more terrifying. In the air, there was even a faint roar. Jian Wushuang wore a red robe that transformed from blood feather reincarnation armor. He carried his sword on his back and walked forward slowly in the void. It has been 10 days and it has been 12 times since the white blaze fruits came into the world. Every time, there have been 2 pieces or even 3 pieces altogether. Then, out of the white blaze fruits that were found on the 2nd level, there were 29 pieces in total. In other words, there were 21 white blaze fruits that would be born one after another, Jian Wushuang muttered. 12 births and 12 fights. But in the 12 fights, he only managed to get 1 white blaze fruit during the 4th fight. As for the other fights, he didn't manage to get there in time. Then, the total of white blaze fruits in his hands was only 4. To get white blaze fruits in the cave, it doesn't only rely on one's power, luck plays a great factor too. No wonder a lot of universe gods who aren't that strong still opt to enter the cave. Jian Wushuang smiled faintly. Just then, Hong! A fierce aura suddenly erupted. The bolt of aura shook the heavens and earth. Then, it suddenly formed into waves and spread terrifyingly. In a short time, it spread up to 100 million miles away. One should know that the birth of white blaze fruit during the past 12 times stirred a commotion each time. However, the largest scale only covered a range of 10 million miles. However, the movement covered 100 million miles this time, and it was spreading at lightning speed. This movement, Jian Wushuang suddenly lifted his head and looked at the source of the movement. There was an unprecedented joy shimmering in his eyes. It's there. It's very near to me. At most 100,000 miles away. Jian Wushuang clenched his fist and immediately plunged towards the source of the movement without hesitation. He gave full play to his speed. Not only was Jian Wushuang startled by the movement, all universe gods within the coverage of the 1 billion mile range were surprised. This movement is too great. Such a large movement, there must be a lot more white blaze fruits that come to the world. Let's go. Hurry and get over. Hurry, hurry, I must get there in time. Damn it, too far away. Countless universe gods flowed from every corner like wasps towards the birthplace. Since the second level of the cave had opened, the so-called largest scale fight was going to happen. Chapter 15:15. Crazy fight for the white blaze fruits. The commotion this time around was indeed too big. It was a lot greater than the commotion from the previous 12 times when the white blaze fruits appeared. Naturally, more universe gods were attracted as well. Among those universe gods, Jian Wushuang was part of the batch of people who was the closest to the point of appearance. He was less than 100 miles away. With such a short distance, by using his speed, Jian Wushuang managed to reach the location in a short time. However, after reaching the location, even Jian Wushuang was shocked by the scene in front of him. On a vast wasteland, the ground had split open due to an explosion. In the void above it, there were 8 floating, bright white lights spread across the area, and what was shrouded inside the white lights were the white blaze fruits. A total of 8 white blaze fruits. Gosh! Jian Wushuang could not help but opened his eyes big. During the 12 appearances previously, 2 fruits had appeared every time. At most, 3 fruits had appeared. However, just then, 8 fruits had appeared at once. It was crazy, really crazy. VAR Axid 6327 document, Analysis 6327, SSP 6327-Math floor date now. Window pubic stag window pubic stag window pubic stag. All the universe gods who rushed to the point of appearance at once went insane when they saw the 8 white blaze fruits. Even Jian Wushuang's eyes were burning with excitement. Snatch! With a flash of shrill light, Jian Wushuang unleashed his fastest speed instantly, and 18 shadows appeared at the same time. In the void in the vicinity, there were 7 other people who charged toward the 8 white blaze fruits. All the eyes of the 7 universe gods were dyed scarlet in color, and they were using all their strength to head toward the 8 white blaze fruits. However, due to the differences in their speeds, 4 people were the fastest to arrive at the 8 white blaze fruits. Jian Wushuang was among the 4 people. Collect! With a swing of his big hand, Jian Wushuang put the 2 white blaze fruits that were the closest to him into a Qian Kuan ring with lightning speed. After that, his body appeared in front of the 3rd white blaze fruit in the blink of an eye, and he was about to collect it. That's mine. A shrill voice could be heard. A purple-clothed youth with a strict expression had already lost his senses. With a swing of his hand, he snatched the white blaze fruit away. Moreover, he had also seized another white blaze fruit moments ago. This meant that he had also gotten 2 white blaze fruits at the same time. After seeing what had been done, Jian Wushuang's expression turned grave. His icy-cold eyes shot a glance at the strict-looking youth, and he activated his soul power. Ah! The strict-looking youth gave a horrible shriek. While shrieking, his consciousness was completely destroyed. A normal universe god dares to snatch my item. You are really courting death. Jian Wushuang was filled with murderous aura. With a wave of his hand, he took the strict-looking youth's Qian Kuan ring. By sweeping his consciousness past it, his eyes glowed brilliantly at once. This youth had just collected 2 white blaze fruits. In addition to the 2 white blaze fruits that he had collected as well, this meant that Jian Wushuang had gotten another 4 white blaze fruits. Moreover, it was obvious that the fight for the white blaze fruits had only just begun. Continue snatching. Jian Wushuang locked on to a black-robed old married woman near him. His soul power had already noticed that the black-robed woman had also managed to get a white blaze fruit. 18 shadows appeared and Jian Wushuang appeared in front of the black-robed woman at once. Jian Wushuang? Not good. The black-robed woman was shocked. Jian Wushuang was filled with murderous intent. His blood mountain sword was extended like a spiritual snake, and it was also filled with a small bit of the power of space-time. Hence, the black-robed woman had no time to block it at all, and the sword light struck her body. Ah! The black-robed woman spit out a big mouthful of blood on the spot, and her aura plunged down. Not dead? Jian Wushuang's eyes squinted slightly. However, he was not too surprised. There were innumerable universe gods with impressive abilities. Although the black-robed woman looked normal and had no reputation, her abilities should be quite close to making it into the universe god ranking list. Jian Wushuang, I will give the white blaze fruit to you. I shall not participate in this fight anymore. The black-robed woman suppressed her fear and anger. She then tossed out a white light. The white light was the white blaze fruit. Jian Wushuang extended his hand and caught the white light. The 5th fruit. Jian Wushuang was delighted. At that moment, an intense fight by the side attracted Jian Wushuang's attention. In particular, his attention was focused on a plump young man in the intense fight. The 6th white blaze fruit is with this young man. With the flash of a shrill light, Jian Wushuang prepared to head over to snatch the 6th white blaze fruit. However, all of a sudden, buzz! Quietly, the plump young man's eyes became dim. His body also became weak and he started to fall downward. A consciousness attack. Jian Wushuang's eyes turned serious. The consciousness attack was not from him. Swoosh! A strange black shadow appeared beside the body of the plump young man. With a stretch of his hands, he grabbed the plump young man's Chen Kuan ring. As for the 4 universe gods who were originally fighting with the plump young man, they went on to attack the black shadow instinctively after seeing such a scene. However, in the end, the 4 universe gods' eyes turned dim quietly, just like before. What a strong consciousness attack! Jian Wushuang's expression turned grave. Swoosh! 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 Sounds of the wind being disturbed could be heard and many universe gods arrived. Although the fight moments ago could be said to be slow, in actual fact, it was completed hastily. In a short amount of time, the 8 white blaze fruits had all landed into the hands of someone. In particular, 2 people had managed to get 1 white blaze fruit each, and had they left a long time agoos for the remaining 6 fruits, they were with Jian Wushuang and the black shadow which had appeared abruptly. It's Jian Wushuang, who is ranked 5th on the universe god ranking list. As for the other one, it's Xinzhu. Jian Wushuang and Xinzhu, 2 experts who are ranked 5th and 6th in the universe god ranking list respectively, are both here. When the universe gods who had just arrived saw the 2 of them standing opposite one another in the void, they were surprised. Naturally, they did not dare to make a move. Xinzhu? Jian Wushuang squinted his eyes and stared at the black-robed young man in front of him. The black-robed young man was handsome and cold like a demon. Xinzhu had an extremely infamous reputation in the eternal chaotic world. Before Wu Bei's cave appeared, among the universe gods, only the god-destroying king, Zi Dongwang, and demon girl Ling Luo could overpower him. Moreover, in the eyes of many universe gods, Xinzhu was more frightening than the god-destroying king, Zi Dongwang, and Ling Luo. The god-destroying king was recognized as the number 1 of the universe gods. He was powerful, and in a 1-to-1 match, no one aside from real gods could be his opponent. However, if he were to be besieged by a large number of universe gods, say if there were hundreds of universe gods fighting him at the same time, he would also have no choice but to escape miserably. However, Xinzhu was different. Xinzhu was an expert who was proficient in consciousness attacks. And for those people who were proficient in consciousness attacks, numbers were the least of their worries. For example, since the 2nd level of the cave had opened, the white blaze fruits had appeared 12 times. There were 2 times where Xianxia had managed to make it, and he had acquired the white blaze fruit in front of countless universe gods. Moreover, he stood in his position openly and did not try to escape. As for the hundreds of universe gods near him, they could only watch him. No one dared to attack. Chapter 15:16. Xianxia, the 6th place on the universe god ranking list. Xianxia, who was previously in the 4th place. "He's not a person to provoke," Jian Wushuang gasped with admiration. "Jian Wushuang, I finally get to meet you," the cold, evil-looking young man, Xianxia said. He fixed his cold gaze on Jian Wushuang. "But, you're quite a lucky man. There are so many universe gods who put up life-and-death fights in the cave but couldn't even get 1 white blaze fruit, yet you alone got 9 of them." 9? Jian Wushuang has 9 white blaze fruits? He really has 9. He already had 4 white blaze fruits previously. The 8 white blaze fruits that came to the world earlier, he got 5 of them alone. Although the surrounding universe gods had only just rushed to the place, they had seen the fight scene earlier and knew that Jian Wushuang got 5 white blaze fruits in the earlier fight. In addition to the 4 that he had had before, he held a total of 9. A total of 9 white blaze fruits was on Jian Wushuang. The surrounding universe gods looked at Jian Wushuang with burning gazes. Jian Wushuang could feel the greed in the universe god's eyes clearly. "I have to leave immediately. Otherwise, there will be more universe gods that gather here. In the end, there might be 100 or even 1,000 universe gods that besiege me. Plus, Xianxia is here too." Jian Wushuang's face grew dim and he immediately made a decision. One must know just how great the movement was when the 8 white blaze fruits came to the world. There was a large number of universe gods rushing over from the surroundings constantly. "Run!" There was a flash and Jian Wushuang performed the secret skill of flowing light phantom. There were 18 shadows created simultaneously. Jian Wushuang gave full play to his speed and retreated backwards at his maximum speed. "Want to run? Move! Kill him! Let's do it together! Let's kill him!" The surrounding universe god launched attacks one after another. There were bolts of fierce aura that exploded. Some universe gods charged towards Jian Wushuang to pound him, and some stood on the spot but launched an attack at Jian Wushuang from afar. The attacks flooded in at the same time at Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang immediately made a huge black tortoise soar from his body as his body stealthily went through and dodged most of the attack. Even when the remaining few strikes hit him, it didn't cause him any damage. With that factor alone, they couldn't stop him. Jian Wushuang. There was suddenly a low bellow. The bellow was like a drumstick that hit Jian Wushuang vigorously. At the same time, Jian Wushuang could only feel the surrounding scenery began to change. Dreamland? Jian Wushuang's face changed and he complimented Xianxia's technique from the bottom of his heart. His back was facing Xianxia with many universe gods obstructing in between. However, Xianxia cast Dreamland on him directly through his voice. Break! Jian Wushuang clenched his teeth and an enormous amount of soul power erupted. He instantly shook off the phantasmagoria with his strong mental state. He just shook it off and Jian Wushuang immediately noticed a large number of figures hemming him in. There were about 20 universe gods who had gathered around him and they were launching attack against him. Courting death. Jian Wushuang's voice was cold. He poured out his soul power and formed into soul thorns. They were instantly immersed into the 20 universe gods' bodies. More than half of the 20 universe gods had their consciousnesses vanish. Although the remaining few endured it, their figures were hindered. Consciousness attack. Jian Wushuang is also good at consciousness attacks and his consciousness attacks are so powerful. The remaining universe gods looked surprised. Vroom! A fierce force suddenly exploded. Jian Wushuang immediately lifted his head but he noticed that Xianxia had appeared somewhere above him. At the same time, there were 2 tall figures that had substantiated. Jian Wushuang, die! Xianxia's voice was cold and the 2 tall figures suddenly moved. The 2 tall figures were 2 huge headless warriors. They were in black armor, holding long speed in their hands as they dove downwards. When they appeared before Jian Wushuang, the 2 headless warriors stabbed with the long spears in their hands and pierced 2 big holes in the void. Jian Wushuang looked solemn and he suddenly exploded his divine power. The power of blood feather reincarnation armor was given full play too. Wow! Wow! The two lightning-like strokes collided with the long spears in the two headless warriors' hands. There were two low thuds, and Jian Wushuang's figure shrunk by a dozen zhong. Such strong power! Jian Wushuang looked at the two headless warriors in astonishment. After one exchange, he could tell that the two headless warriors were not any weaker than a real god. The two headless warriors joining forces were like fighting power of two real gods. Hong! The two headless warriors continued to attack Jian Wushuang with soaring arrogance. Humph! Jian Wushuang harumphed coldly, and the 18 shadows moved at the same time, taking two simple turns in the void followed by a sprint. It was extremely creepy. It shuttled through the gap between the two headless warriors and appeared before Xinju. This martial art motion? Xinju's face grew grave. Jian Wushuang was staring at Xinju with his bright, sparkly eyes. Xinju flung himself into consciousness attack. Disregarding that it's a consciousness attack, his close combat skill is definitely not strong point 10,000 shadows. Swoosh! 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 The strokes of sword light swung out at the same time. The sky was filled with hundreds of sword shadows at that very moment, like a sea of swords. Then, it engulfed Xinju within. But then, Xinju gave full play to his strong consciousness powers, which combined with his divine powers flawlessly. Suddenly, Hualala! Strokes of black, flowing lights flashed like long spears and collided with sword lights that Jian Wushuang had cast. There was a clashing sound continuously. Jian Wushuang's 10,000 shadows were blocked by Xinju at ease. You live up to your reputation of the 6th place on Universe God ranking list. Very impressive, but I have no time to play around with you. Jian Wushuang smirked coldly. Then, his figure suddenly retreated. He turned around and plunged into the void far away. You can't run away. Xinju let out a roar, and then there was a pair of creepy black wings that appeared from nowhere. The pair of black wings were formed entirely by Xinju's consciousness power. His divine power spread. Hualala! Xinju turned into a black flowing light and pierced the void to chase after Jian Wushuang. The speed that he was plunging at wasn't much slower than Jian Wushuang. The two figures, one running and one chasing, disappeared before everyone's eyes very soon. Chapter 15:17. Favorite person. The speed at which Jian Wushuang and Xinju were fighting was too fast. Moreover, the two of them were very powerful. Although there were many universe gods near them, no one could interfere. After seeing one of them chasing the other, a big portion of the universe gods followed as well. However, some of the universe gods stayed behind and chose not to follow. Too strong. Be it Jian Wushuang or Xinju, they are not people that we can stop. Hence, it will be almost impossible to snatch white blaze fruits from them. There are so many universe gods. Even if Jian Wushuang is really killed in the end, the white blaze fruits will definitely not fall into my hands. Forget it. For the universe gods who did not give chase, most of them were shocked by the abilities of Jian Wushuang and Xinju. However, although they did not give chase, they sent a message at once to spread the case to the outside world. In no time, countless universe gods in the cave were astonished. On the island outside the cave, in the big hall, VAR Axid 6327 document, AXO 6327, SSP 6327-Math floor date now. Window pubic stag many almighties, and the experts representing the various forces, gasped continuously when they received the news. One person has obtained a total of 9 white blaze fruits. This Jian Wushuang is really greedy. This cannot be called greedy. We can only say that his luck is good. After all, how can one not take it when something good is placed in front of him? No matter what, this Jian Wushuang has now become a target of criticism of everyone, and he is also the favorite person of all the universe gods. Favorite person. Indeed, Jian Wushuang was a popular person. From the time that Wu Bei's cave had appeared to the current moment, quite a number of white blaze fruits had appeared as well. However, apart from Jian Wushuang, the luckiest person had only been able to acquire 3 white blaze fruits. However, Jian Wushuang possessed 9 white blaze fruits. Hence, it would be strange if the universe gods who did not acquire even 1 white blaze fruit were not envious of him. Lei Chao, Your lineage of star has made it big this time round. A real god who was beside Lei Chao jeered. It is still too early to say this now. Although Jian Wushuang has obtained 9 white blaze fruits, we still don't know if he will be able to bring those white blaze fruits out, Lei Chao said earnestly. You're right, the real god shook his head as well. With 9 white blaze fruits, the universe gods in the cave will definitely try to kill him with all their might. Even the monsters in the top 10 of the universe god ranking list will want to kill him. Under such circumstances, it will be difficult for him to bring all 9 white blaze fruits out. If I were Jian Wushuang, I would be slightly smarter and give up a few white blaze fruits. With that, nothing would happen to me. Many experts in the big hall were having a discussion, and most of them had a relaxed expression. Only Lei Chao was extremely anxious. Jian Wushuang. Lei Chao had sent a message to Jian Wushuang. Remember, if the situation is dangerous, you can give up on a few white blaze fruits. To the lineage of star, acquiring 2 or 3 white blaze fruits from this fight is considered good. We don't expect too many of them. Do not throw your life away for the white blaze fruits, I understand. Jian Wushuang nodded his head. He was very clear about that in his head. If there were no choice, he would give up what was necessary without hesitation. However, at that moment, he had not reached such a state. This Xianxia is really persistent. Jian Wushuang shot a glance behind him. 10,000 miles away from him, Xianxia was flapping a pair of black wings that he had created using his power of consciousness, and he was still giving chase. Although he was unable to catch up to Jian Wushuang also found it difficult to lose him. As for the other universe gods, Jian Wushuang had lost them at the back. I have already unleashed the first stage of the secret skill of dragon blood. However, this is only enough to ensure that he doesn't catch up to me. To lose him completely, I would need to use the second stage of the secret skill of dragon blood, Jian Wushuang muttered. However, the key point was that it was not easy to use the second stage of the secret skill of dragon blood. After all, it would deplete a huge amount of divine power. By maintaining it for just a short period of time, he would exhaust almost all of his divine power, and even the recovery ability of the king of venomous worms would be unable to recover his divine power in a short amount of time. In an environment like this cave, as soon as his divine power was completely depleted, it would definitely become a disaster for him. If it's just Xianxia alone, it'll still be all right. However, the problem is, as Jian Wushuang was thinking, his eyes turned serious abruptly. He had sensed a powerful aura that had appeared within the detecting range of his soul power. That was a purple-haired young man with a stern face, and his aura was a lot more powerful than the universe gods, including Xianxia that Jian Wushuang had seen previously. That's Zidong Wang. Jian Wushuang's expression turned unusually ugly. Xianxia alone was already very difficult to deal with. At that moment, Zidong Wang, who was even more difficult to deal with than Xianxia, had appeared. It should be known that Zidong Wang was a super monster who ranked second on the universe god ranking list, and he was only second to the god-destroying king who ranked first. Ha ha. Looks like my luck is not too bad. Zidong Wang's hearty, loud laughter reverberated across the whole horizon. His eyes had already locked onto Jian Wushuang. There was also a purple, evil aura around his body which caused his speed to become very fearsome. When he unleashed his speed, it would be slightly faster than Jian Wushuang and Xianxia's. Oh no, Jian Wushuang started to panic. He had seen Zidong Wang's information thoroughly and knew very well that with his current abilities, he would be unable to compete with Zidong Wang. To make matters worse, if Zidong Wang and Xianxia were to team up, he would have no choice but to escape shamefully. Zidong Wang, Jian Wushuang started to speak. Let's do a trade. If I give you 3 white blaze fruits, you will leave straight away. Deal. 3 fruits? Zidong Wang was astonished. He would be given 3 white blaze fruits if he left. Hence, Jian Wushuang could be said to be very generous. Jian Wushuang, you are smart. However, what I want is not merely 3 but 6 white blaze fruits. If you agree to this, I will leave straight away, Zidong Wang said loudly. 6 fruits? Zidong Wang, you are too greedy. Jian Wushuang's eyes turned cold. He had finally acquired 9 white blaze fruits after risking his life in Wu Bei's cave. At that moment, Zidong Wang didn't need to do anything but leave. However, for that, he asked for 6 white blaze fruits. This was not just greedy, it was absolutely crazy. No deal? Then don't blame me. Zi Dongwang laughed coldly. The distance between him and Jian Wushuang was becoming shorter. Zi Dongwang, Jian Wushuang is not weak. If you don't team up with me, you alone might be unable to kill him. Xinzhu's voice could be heard abruptly. Xinzhu, what are you trying to say? Zi Dongwang looked over. Very simple. If you and I team up, this Jian Wushuang will die for sure. After that, the 9 white blaze fruits shall be equally split between us. At the very least, you would get 5 and I would give 4, Xinzhu said. HMH, I have already said. I want 6 white blaze fruits. Zi Dongwang bellowed. You are really unreasonable. 6 white blaze fruits it shall be then, but give me the 3 remaining white blaze fruits. Xinzhu said. No problem. Zi Dongwang nodded his head. The 2 experts had reached a consensus. Chapter 15:18. White-robed swordsman Jian Wushuang, you can't escape. D. Zi Dongwang and Xinzhu had soaring murderous intentions, and Zi Dongwang was constantly approaching Jian Wushuang. Big trouble. Jian Wushuang's eyebrows were tightly knitted, but suddenly, ha! Jian Wushuang's expression changed, and there was delight in his eyes. He could clearly feel that in the void within 10,000 miles of him was a figure in a white robe flying over. Through his soul power, he could see the features of the figure in white robe clearly. It's him. Jian Wushuang was delighted, and he immediately switched directions without hesitation. He plunged towards the figure in the white robe. Very soon, he appeared before the figure in white robe. Ha ha, Duan Lingfeng, long time no see. Jian Wushuang laughed heartily. Duan Wushuang, it's really you. The man in the white robe who carried a saber on his back lifted his head to look at Jian Wushuang. Then, the corners of his lips lifted into a smile too. Duan Lingfeng. He was a genius that Jian Wushuang had met in the dangerous ancient Star Sea on his way to the 10 cultivation sanctuaries back then, and they were quite close. Back in ancient Star Sea, Jian Wushuang had saved the 2 people that Duan Lingfeng was escorting while Duan Lingfeng joined had forces with Jian Wushuang to resolve Jian Wushuang's crisis once. They had given a favor from one to another, and they were both geniuses. Hence, they appreciated one another. After they passed through ancient Star Sea, they parted ways as they had their own agendas. After a few thousand years, Jian Wushuang never thought that he would meet Duan Lingfeng again in Wu Bei's cave, and they happened to meet at a time when he needed help. You need help? Duan Lingfeng stood there with a faint smile. He had already noticed the existence of Zi Dongwang and Xinzhu from behind. Of course, I do. Jian Wushuang broke into a smile and he stopped next to Duan Lingfeng. The 2nd place on Universe God ranking list, Zi Dongwang, and the 6th place on Universe God ranking list, Xinzhu. Duan Lingfeng fixed his gaze on the 2 people who were chasing them from afar. There was light glistening in his eyes, and at the very next moment, rumble! A terrifying sword intention suddenly erupted and soared up above 9th heaven. The surrounding heaven and earth was drowned in a sea of sword intention. Jian Wushuang stood next to Duan Lingfeng. He was clear about the feeling of the sword intention, and his pupils contracted. This bolt of sword intention. I see. Jian Wushuang understood then. Zi Dongwang and Xinzhu who were chasing them suddenly stopped. Such strong sword intention. This bolt of sword intention seems to be able to tear everything down in heaven and earth. It struck fear into me. Zi Dongwang creased his eyebrows as he looked over at Duan Lingfeng. White-robed, carrying a saber on his back, a strong sword intention. Zi Dongwang and Xinzhu immediately knew the person's identity. You're the white-robed swordsman on the 3rd place on Universe God ranking list? Zi Dongwang sounded cold. You are the one who defeated demon girl Ling Luo? Xinzhu's face grew unusually solemn. The birth of Wu Bei's cave had led to a fight and massacre among countless universe gods. There were also many unfamiliar experts who got listed on Universe God ranking list. Among the unfamiliar experts, the mysterious white-robed swordsman was the strongest. He defeated demon girl Ling Luo head-on and got listed on the 3rd place on Universe God ranking list, right behind God-destroying King and Zi Dongwang. However, it had been a while since the white-robed swordsman had defeated Ling Luo and no one knew his real name. Even on Universe God ranking list, he was known as the white-robed swordsman. Then, the white-robed swordsman appeared before them in person. The third place on Universe God ranking list, Duan Lingfeng. That's really impressive, Jian Wushuang teased. He knew that Duan Lingfeng was a true genius back when they were at Ancient Star Sea, and even King of Venomous Worms admired him. After a few thousand years, Duan Lingfeng's power had obviously improved a lot more. Aren't you in the 5th place yourself? Duan Lingfeng smiled faintly. One should know that when he first met Jian Wushuang at Ancient Star Sea, although Jian Wushuang had showed shocking talent, his wasn't strong in power. Back then, Jian Wushuang was only a universe god in the first heaven. But then, he was one of the top few among all universe gods in eternal chaotic world. In term of improvement speed, Jian Wushuang was slightly faster than he was. White-robed swordsman, the one that we want to fight is Jian Wushuang. It has nothing to do with you. If you want the white blaze fruit, wait until we kill Jian Wushuang and we will share them with you. What do you think? Zi Dongwang looked at Duan Lingfeng and said. Duan Lingfeng looked at Zi Dongwang coldly. Firstly, I am not interested in the white blaze fruit. I came to the cave simply to fight with other experts. Secondly, Jian Wushuang is my friend. Ever since cultivation, I have not had many friends, but Jian Wushuang is one of them. If you want to kill him, it means that you want to kill me. The moment he said that, Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows and he felt touched. But Zi Dongwang and Xinju's faces grew grave. It seems like a lost cause. We can only fight. Zi Dongwang said in a low voice. You want to fight? Who's afraid? Jian Wushuang smiled faintly while Blood Mountain's sword in his hands quivered vigorously. Previously, it had been only him alone. He could only run away when he was fighting against Zi Dongwang and Xinju. But then, he had Duan Lingfeng's assistance. He wasn't afraid of the two of them. I only came here with the intention to fight against experts. Xinju is only in the 6th place on the Universe God ranking list. I am not interested in him. My opponent will be Zi Dongwang, Duan Lingfeng said. If so, I shall leave Zi Dongwang to you and I shall take care of Xinju, Jian Wushuang said with a smile. Duan Lingfeng nodded faintly. After they came to a mutual understanding. Swoosh. Duan Lingfeng took action first, rumble. A terrifying sword intention had flooded into the entire universe. Duan Lingfeng's figure turned illusionary and appeared before Zi Dongwang while the saber behind his back was instantly out of the scabbard. The 11th. Heaven and earth grew dim. In the boundless darkness, a brilliant crimson sword light suddenly descended. Looking at the crimson sword light, even Zi Dongwang's pupils shrunk. He immediately brought out his divine power and concentrated on his palms. He was wearing a pair of purple gloves and there was purple light soaring up into the sky. Purple glory sky collapse. Hong! A terrifying power suddenly exploded. As Duan Lingfeng was fighting with Zi Dongwang, Jian Wushuang moved too. Xinju, during the earlier fight, both you and I had scruples. Now, let's fight again. Jian Wushuang's voice reverberated. Humph! Who is afraid? I happen to want to take back my ranking, 5th place on the Universe God ranking list. It's mine. Xinju was raging in anger. A fierce consciousness swept out and suddenly became two tall headless warriors before him. Swoosh! Swoosh! The two headless warriors held long spears in their hands while they stepped in the void and charged towards Jian Wushuang. Chapter 1519. One against two. Boom! Boom! Two shocking noises could be heard. The two headless soldiers had already appeared in front of Jian Wushuang. They then extended their long spears. Its power was impressive. You're not the only one who knows consciousness attacks. Jian Wushuang gave a cold HH. A huge amount of soul power burst forth and a giant golden divine ape rose up. Similarly, the golden divine ape carried a long sword. With a shrill roar, it moved toward the two headless soldiers. Piss off! The long sword swept past the area rashly. As the stroke contained a shocking amount of strength, it pushed back the two headless soldiers at the same time. After that, the golden divine ape took one step and plunged toward Xinju. If two headless soldiers are unable to stop you, how about three? Xinju's eyes turned cold and gloomy. After his speech, another headless soldier appeared in the void in front of him. In addition to the 2 headless soldiers previously, there were a total of 3 headless soldiers. Rumble. The 3 headless soldiers gave off amazing power and surrounded Jian Wushuang's golden divine ape. They then attacked at the same time and gave Jian Wushuang more pressure. This Xinju is really powerful. Jian Wushuang could not help but exclaim. It should be known that every headless soldier had the fighting capabilities of a real god. Hence, 3 headless soldiers were equivalent to 3 real gods teaming up, which put Jian Wushuang under a lot of pressure. At that moment, ha ha, this place is really lively. Laughter could be heard and a silver-armored young man could be seen speeding over from a distance away. Around this battlefield, there were a few universe gods present. However, those universe gods were observing from a distance and they did not dare to go over. After all, the ones fighting were the monsters in the top 10 of the universe god ranking list. Without sufficient power, they wouldn't dare to participate in such a fight. And at that very moment, the silver-armored young man plunged over fearlessly. Naturally, he had absolute confidence in his own abilities. It's universe god Liu Ying. Jian Wushuang's eyes could not help but narrow. Liu Ying. Xinju also looked toward him. Universe god Liu Ying was ranked 7th in the universe god ranking list, which was just after Jian Wushuang and Xinju. By including Duan Lingfeng and Zi Dongwang, who were by the side, out of the 10 monsters who were in the top 10 of the universe god ranking list, 5 of them were present. Liu Ying, you must be here for the white blaze fruit, right? Xinju spoke. Of course. Universe god Liu Ying laughed. Since that's the case, you and I should team up and kill this Jian Wushuang. As for the 9 white blaze fruits that he has, we shall split them among us after killing him. Deal. Xinju said. All right. Universe god Liu Ying nodded his head without hesitation. At that moment, everyone in the cave knew that Jian Wushuang alone possessed 9 white blaze fruits. Hence, Universe god Liu Yang showed himself since his objective was also Jian Wushuang. Let's do it. Kill. Xinju was filled with murderous intent. Universe god Liu Yang also transformed into a silver, fluttering light and charged into the battlefield like lightning. Another one. HMPH. Jian Wushuang's face turned cold. However, he was not fearful in the slightest bit. With a shift of his body, 18 shadows appeared immediately. His body also became abnormal. Ha ha. Jian Wushuang, the experts on the higher end of the Vientiane Tower believed that your martial art motion was number 1 among the universe gods. However, I, Liu Ying, am the first person to be dissatisfied with that. Today, I wish to see exactly how impressive your martial art motion is. Universe god Liu Yang gave a loud laugh. With a change of the silver, fluttering light that he had transformed into, the light transformed into many layers and countless silver, fragmentary shadows appeared in the universe. These shadows were also extremely strange. Martial art motion was what universe god Liu Yang was the most proficient in. Before Jian Wushuang appeared, he was recognized as the number 1 among the universe gods in terms of martial art motion. At that moment, he had come across Jian Wushuang. Firstly, he wished to get the white blaze fruits from Jian Wushuang. Secondly, he wished to have a showdown with Jian Wushuang. Bring it on. Jian Wushuang's eyes shone with harsh light. His body movements bypassed the small gaps between the 3 headless soldiers easily and he headed toward the layers of silver light. He attacked with his blood mountain sword abruptly and the golden divine ape which shrouded his body also launched an attack. As for universe god Liu Ying, his hands were each carrying a big, silver hammer and he attacked with lightning speed. Bump! 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 Intense sounds of thunder could be heard continuously. Initially, the sounds of collision had come from one part of the void. However, in the next moment, it came from tens of miles away from the ground and this opened up a big hole in the ground. After that, the sound came from a mountain and the mountain had also split open. It was too fast. Their movement speed was too fast and their martial art motion was also extremely strange. Among the universe gods who were observing the battle from a distance, most of them revealed a shocked expression. They were totally unable to see Jian Wushuang and universe god Liu Ying's figure clearly. What they could see was the strange golden, fragmentary shadow left behind by the golden divine ape that shrouded Jian Wushuang's body. However, as number 6 on the Universe God ranking list, Xianxia could see everything clearly. Jian Wushuang and Universe God Liu Ying had just clashed with one another head-on once. All of a sudden, they heard explosive sounds near them. The 3 big, headless soldiers had already appeared beside Jian Wushuang, and the 3 long spears headed toward him at the same time. Although your headless soldiers are powerful, their bodies are too big and they are too clumsy. Therefore, they are unable to touch me, Jian Wushuang laughed disdainfully. With a strange movement of his body, he circled around the 3 headless soldiers easily. The long spears of the 3 headless soldiers were totally unable to touch Jian Wushuang's clothes. Jian Wushuang was standing together with Universe God Liu Ying like before. Jian Wushuang, you dare to underestimate me? Xianxia's eyes were filled with flames of fury. After that, the 3 headless soldiers swung their arms with great strength. The long spears on their hands were thrown out at once and they aimed at Jian Wushuang. The speed of throwing was a lot faster than the moving speed of the 3 headless soldiers. While Jian Wushuang was still fighting with Universe God Liu Ying, the 3 long spears were thrown with lightning speed. What? Jian Wushuang's expression changed. His body then writhed strangely and he avoided the paths of the 3 spears. However, the moment he avoided the long spears, Universe God Liu Ying found an opening. Ha ha, Jian Wushuang, eat my hammer attack. Universe God Liu Ying was laughing loudly. At the same time, both his hands held a big hammer. Meteor Heavenly Hammer. Boom! A silver thunderbolt descended with lightning speed abruptly. Faced with the hammer attack, Jian Wushuang was unable to dodge. Moreover, he had also failed to use his sword principles in time to block the attack. Hence, he could only use the Blood Mountain sword to block. Bam! With a loud noise, Jian Wushuang's body was sent flying to the ground like a meteorite. In the end, he crashed into the ground, creating a big hole. However, not long after the big hole appeared, an enormous amount of crimson flames burst forth abruptly. The crimson flames had an astonishing temperature which burnt the ground to ashes. At the core of the crimson flames, a figure appeared. It was Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang just then was like an emperor of the Sea of Fire. Chapter 1520. Retreat under my meteor heavenly hammer. He wasn't injured at all? Universe God Liu Ying floated in the void as he looked at Jian Wushuang. He noticed that Jian Wushuang's, who was crowned among the Crimson Sea of Fire at that very moment, aura had grown even stronger than before. Kill! Among the Crimson Sea of Fire, a ghostly figure soared up and 18 shadows were cast simultaneously. 10,000 shadows. Jian Wushuang wielded his sword at lightning speed. The sword lights crossed wantonly and flooded in to engulf Universe God Liu Ying. Ha ha, come on. Universe God Liu Ying let out a burst of hearty laughter and his aura started churning. The pair of huge silver hammers burst out silver light. Suddenly, it continuously bombarded him with attacks. Bang! 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 As they fought in madness, there were countless shadows left in the void. Jian Wushuang's speed and strength are much better than before. Universe God Liu Ying's pupils contracted. Previously, when he was fighting against Jian Wushuang head-on, they had been evenly matched. However, when Jian Wushuang had performed Scarlet Kingdom, he had felt the increase in pressure. Especially in terms of martial art motion, Jian Wushuang was really one notch faster. Liu Ying, step aside. There was suddenly a deep voice. Universe God Liu Ying didn't hesitate but retreated immediately from the silver flowing light. Jian Wushuang quickly lifted his head and he instantly noticed Xianxia, who had burst out a terrifying aura from afar. Jian Wushuang, try to take this. Xianxia's face was distorted in agony. Before him, it was overcast with black fog. The entire heaven and earth were covered in boundless darkness. The black fog was like widely opened mouths that were going to swallow Jian Wushuang. The coverage of the black fog was too huge and Jian Wushuang had no way to shake it off. 9-weight destruction. Rumble. A terrifying consciousness charged towards Jian Wushuang. The consciousness attack was like a huge millstone that was crushing Jian Wushuang without any pattern. Plus, There wasn't only one millstone, but there was a total of 9 millstones, and one was stronger than the others. It was Xinju's strongest move, 9-weight destruction. Jian Wushuang looked stony-faced, and the huge dark tortoise had already surfaced. Then, one millstone after another hit his body. Bang! 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 The former 8 attacks, Jian Wushuang had forcefully withstood them with his strong yet tenacious soul power. In the 9th strike, which was the last strike, the most terrifying strike of consciousness crushed over. Ah! Jian Wushuang let out a shrill scream at the hit. He felt an unprecedented sharp pain in his soul, and it was as though his head was going to explode. However, the sharp pain only continued for a short while before it subsided. Jian Wushuang was still standing in the void, but his face was red and his body was covered in sweat. He lifted his head again after a good while. He then smirked coldly. Xinju, your consciousness attack is really scary, but it's a pity that it can't kill me. Xinju remained silent and his face grew grave. I performed 9-weight destruction with my all. Even one with ordinary real God's consciousness strength would find it hard to withstand, but Jian Wushuang withstood it forcefully. His consciousness is this strong. But he didn't know that Jian Wushuang's consciousness couldn't be actually considered as strong. It was merely capped at the limit of a universe God. He had yet to reach real God's level. However, Jian Wushuang's consciousness had already transformed into soul long ago, and his soul power was at a much higher level and much more tenacious by a few folds compared to consciousness. His soul power was especially greater in terms of its tenacity. Xinju's technique could kill an ordinary real God's consciousness, but it couldn't kill Jian Wushuang's soul, which was only at the level of the limit of a universe God. Xinju, universe God Liu Ying, what other techniques do you have? Use them all. Jian Wushuang's imposing manner had recovered to its peak again. His gaze was cold as he glanced. Xinju and universe God Liu Ying were standing side by side as their eyebrows tightly knitted. Liu Ying, I've performed my strongest unique skill, but I still can't kill him. How about you? Do you have any other techniques? Xinju asked. I do have it, but even if I perform it, it won't kill him. Universe God Liu Ying shook his head and replied. We're in trouble. Xinju and universe God Liu Ying went silent. Just then, Hong! A terrifying roar suddenly burst into the void not too far away. At the same time, there were 2 bolts of earth-shattering power that spread. The 2 bolts of power struck fear into both Xinju and universe God Liu Ying. Xinju and universe God Liu Ying immediately looked towards the other side of the battlefield. Their pupils contracted the moment they saw the scene. On the battlefield, Duan Lingfeng and Zi Dongwang had already separated. However, Zi Dongwang at that moment, his hair was messy, he looked pale, and there was even blood at the corners of his lips. He was obviously in a fix. Duan Lingfeng, on the other hand, his status was still at his peak and his aura was soaring into high sky. He was obviously in a better position than Zi Dongwang. Zi Dongwang, you who are on the 2nd place on Universe God ranking list, your power is only at such level? A cold voice was heard from Duan Lingfeng and it reverberated through the universe. Bastard! Zi Dongwang clenched his teeth, but he could do nothing about it. Xinju and universe God Liu Ying was at a loss for words. The scene before them was obvious. In the earlier battle, the one at a disadvantage was Zi Dongwang, but he was on the 2nd place on Universe God ranking list. Xinju, Liu Ying, they 2 of you joined forces but couldn't kill Jian Wushuang? Zi Dongwang noticed the outcome on the other side too and immediately reprimanded. Xinju and universe God Liu Ying exchanged a look. Both of them felt bitter in their hearts. Damn it! Zi Dongwang cursed and glared at Jian Wushuang and Duan Lingfeng. Let's go. Zi Dongwang left directly while Xinju and universe God Liu Ying didn't stay either but left immediately. Although the 3 of them had joined forces, they obviously couldn't do anything about the teaming up of Jian Wushuang and Duan Lingfeng. Hence, they could only leave. As the 3 of them walked away, the shocking battle that had involved 5 universe gods in the top 10 on Universe God ranking list finally ended. Jian Wushuang, are you okay? Duan Lingfeng kept his saber and appeared before Jian Wushuang. I'm okay. Jian Wushuang smiled faintly and said, Duan Lingfeng, congratulations. You defeated Zi Dongwang. From the looks of it, on the latest Universe God ranking list that Vientiane Tower just released, you could be in the second place. I merely have the upper hand by a slight bit. If I really want to defeat him, I'm still a bit short. Duan Lingfeng shook his head. He was really stronger than Zi Dongwang, but not by much. Regardless, thank you once again. I owe you one, Jian Wushuang said with a smile.